this is the start of a crazy journey. So I bought myself a Mercedes Sprinter, a long wheelbase, 311 CDI. So I pretty much picked it up, ex-Royal Mail van, full service history, and I started off with removing all the insides just to see what it looked like under all the walls. So all these are like some plastic sheeting which was screwed in. So I unscrewed all these just to unveil the underneath of the van. I also kept these so I could use templates in the future. Then I went on to the sound deadening and insulating the van. So sound deadened all the panels. I used the dodo mats here. I used dodo for all of the insulation. I bought a insulation pack for a long wheelbase. After sound deadening, I then cleaned the floor. So I got the floor up and there was a lot of rubbish, dirt, so I brushed it all out, mopped it, cleaned it as best as I could, and then I went back to insulating the van. So again, this is like thermo wrap or thermal liner, again from dodo mats. Pretty much covered all the van in this just to make sure I have that complete seal around the van. So basically trying to create a vapor barrier within the van when it comes to the insulation. So all the walls are done, and then pretty much done exactly the same thing all the way along the roof. Pretty time consuming, but it was also I enjoyed doing it as well. And then from there, with all the gaps, I used insulation tape. So you can buy this online. I got it from Screwfix. It was just 3M insulation tape. So I pretty much taped up all the gaps or joins that the insulation left. And then this is the dodo matting, like flooring. So it is sound deadening and insulation in one. So it's like 4 mil of sound deadening and then 4 mil of insulation. From there, I then moved on to just fitting a vent onto the roof. So I didn't know what I was going to do with the roofing just yet because I wanted to make it stealth. So I did install just a low profile vent in the van. So I've always got a vent going on. Using the plastic lining, I tuck off the wall. I then marked out on the ply boards, ply sheets, just so I can line it. This time I'm currently at my parents' house, so I used their garden to cut all the plywoods, like big sheets of plywood, while I had the space and privacy to do that. And then from there, I then fitted a rubber flooring to the back. This is where the garage will be, where I'll store my mountain bikes, my surfboards, my wetsuits, etc. So just a one complete piece of rubber flooring, just to make it waterproof, easy to clean. From that, and then I went on to framing the van. So nice and simple, just straight black pieces of wood along the metal framing. Just something where I can attach the ply boards to right here, as you can see. So this wasn't a permanent fix, this was just so I can see how the wood fitted where I've cut it, and as you can see, it sits nice and flush and pretty nice along that wall. Once I knew all that fitted, I then took them off and then insulated the walls. So this is just some dodo mat thermal liner. So it's just like recycled plastics, stuff like that. It's not like wool where if it gets wet it absorbs moisture. This stuff stays pretty dry and stuff like that, because inside a van could get pretty damp in the winter and you've got a heater on inside. And then from there I pretty much went on to fitting everything to the outside of the van. So started off with the solar panel. So I got the solar panel in place. This is a 375 watt panel, a nice big piece pretty much, and it fitted quite nicely on top of the van. So I used 4 brackets here, sickle fexed it to the van, and then I bolted the solar panel to the brackets. Next up on the list was a maxi fan. So I basically installed this just in front of the solar panel. So just made a framework which it'll get screwed into inside the van, which you'll see later on in the video. So then I marked out the hole on top of the van, drilled the 4 corners, which I can then use a jigsaw to cut out that hole. From there, you then file all the edges down, paint it or spray paint it, just to protect it from rust. I used this seal. It just gets a nice tight seal around the hole, but I also use sickle fex as well. So sickle fex as well as a seal makes a pretty bomb-proof seal on the van and stops all leaks. From there, you then screw the bracket mount down into the frame, which is inside the van, and then pretty much you just place the maxi fan on top and screw it into the bracket, and that's pretty much the maxi fan installed. Next up was a big job. This was a skylight. So exactly the same format as the fan. Pretty much mark it out, drill the 4 corners, and then jigsaw cut the hole out of the van. Then you just spray the bare metal to rust proof it. Again, use the seal here, but with this one I had to use loads just to build up that gap where the ridges are. Sickle fexed all the skylight again, exactly the same as the thing, the air fan, and then securing the skylight to the wooden frame inside the van. Another big job on the list was installing a window. So I think I'm just going to have the one window on this van, which is going to be the sliding door, because I'm going to have a table and chairs on the opposite side, so I can sit in the van and look out. So exactly the same, drill a hole, jigsaw the hole, file it down, paint the bare metal, and then it's basically sickle fex all the way around the window, and then basically install the window. I use 3 crack clamps here just to really, because it's such a big surface area, to hold that window nice and tight so that sickle fex could dry. I did get some wax underbody spray just to protect the underbody of the vehicle from rust and water, and then I got some Raptor paint and I painted the grille and all the black trims around the vehicle. I also did do the rear badge as well. And then went on to the inside, and I started off with a double swivel seat. So I wasn't going to install a swivel seat, but I thought if I'm going to have a seating opposite side of the sliding door, it'd be nice to be able to slide or swing this seat around and basically have extra chairs with a seating area. And then I went underneath the van this time. After the underbody paint has dried, I then installed the water tank. So basically just PDFing all the fittings, screwing that into the tank, and then installed the water level sensor. Just drill a hole, sensor goes in, screw that on, and then that is pretty much the sensor fitted. That'll get wired into the van, and then it's a matter of mounting it to the van. So 2 holes on the sill, and then 2 holes on the other side of the bracket. This is the grey water tank or wastewater tank. Again, fitting a water level sensor, and in a matter of exactly the same thing, just bolting it to the bottom of the van. The wastewater went behind the spare wheel on the Sprinter. This is the basically wastewater empty tank. So I just got to turn that knob and it'll empty the tank. From there, went on to the freshwater tank. So just plumbing up the fill point, and then also running the blue piping inside the van. So that's pretty much the plumbing good to go now. And then here I received the full plumbing kit for the van. So water heater and tap kit and water pump. So all this will be get fitted in the future.